The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. First of all, happy holidays to all of you out there listening. And certainly go to stewart.com/radio, where you can see this show on the YouTube video and also past shows in the show archive at stewart.com/radio. Let's get down to business. We have super accomplished individuals on this show today. We're going to start with, he is a manager of money. Mansky Wealth is the name of his company. He is Chris Mansky. He's also a member of Mensa. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and was in West Point. His current book is called Outsmart the Money Magicians. Here he is, Chris Mansky. Chris, welcome to the show.
Bill, it's great to see you again. Thank you for having me on.
Sounds like you've been writing books since I saw you last. And what a great title, Outsmart the Money Magicians.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I feel like there's a real ring to it there, so appreciate you noticing.
A great thing with the whole magician thing. And also, you are also the author of a book a few years ago that you wrote called The Prepared Investor, which I'm still reading and going back to for some of the great ideas that are in that book. So, first of all, let's tell people about your company, Mansky Wealth.
Sure. Mansky Wealth Management is a retail investing firm. The advisors there help individuals and institutions with taking care of their investments. We've been at it for over a decade, and most of us have been in the same town doing the same thing for over 20 years.
And I would say that we hear, as far as all the economic climates, ups and downs, and even real estate as it goes up and down, there's always opportunity in every environment. Would you say that?
For certain there is. That's what prompted my first book, The Prepared Investor. So often Wall Street says, just stay the course, don't do anything in the midst of a crisis, but there's opportunity in crisis. And then with Outsmart the Money Magicians, what I'm saying is that there's not just opportunity in crisis or in certain market cycles, but there's opportunity in the way Wall Street is organized, that we can improve finance for everybody just by making tweaks to the system itself.
Also, I want to say thank you for your service in the armed forces, but give us a word before we explore your current book as far as your military service, especially at West Point. We don't run into that a lot with West Point graduates, but tell us how that ties into business, what you learned in the military and now what you're practicing every day and even as you're an author.
Sure. I think maybe one of the biggest things is authentic integrity. These days, you can't trust videos and pictures anymore. You hear so much about leaders that they're putting themselves before their customers or before their employees. And I think that my background really helped to solidify a foundation in the importance of authentic integrity.
This time of year, people find time, and certainly readers that are leaders always find time to read, but this is a good time to be reading, a good time to pick up your book, Outsmart the Money Magicians. Give people an idea what they're going to find when they open the book and how it's going to serve them, Chris.
Well, sure. I think the first thing they'll find is that they're getting to go behind the scenes on some real stage magic. We describe how magicians do certain tricks in detail. And the reason that we're doing that is because there are certain things that are happening for everybody involved in the investing world where the tactics and the techniques are almost identical to those of a stage magician. And when you can see through the trick on the stage and then you can apply that to, well, look, that's the exact same thing that's happening here in your investment account. It's very easy to see through those illusions and then not let them affect you in the future.
Well, when someone has, let's say they have a relatively speaking, $10 million in their portfolio, or someone that has that much money started unless they inherited the money, started somewhere small. So as far as this book helping people, let's say they have $1,000 in their account. There's ideas in here that will help them get to larger wealth over time. Would that be safe to say?
Oh, yes. It's good for everyone because we're talking about the system itself. Whether you have 10 million or 1,000, you're going to be looking at the exact same data setup. When you go online to look at the account, whether it's at Fidelity or Schwab or Merrill Lynch or Goldman, the regulations require a certain setup and the way that you see the data. And there are some real problems with that setup. We can truly do something better by seeing our investments more clearly. And one of the things that we talk about in the book is the layout of the investment statement. It helps to obscure some real important facts. But it's not just investment statements. Whether you have 10 million or 1,000, you also have to deal with the relationships and the setup of Wall Street. And so what we often see is the phrase financial advisor, the title. It could apply to somebody who's an expert at insurance. It could apply to someone who's an expert with annuities, to someone who's an expert at mortgages, to someone who's an expert at investing in stocks, to someone who's an expert at, and I really could just keep going, credit cards, checking accounts. It's very misleading, and you can't quite put your finger on in a clear, easy way if you're talking to somebody who is an investment advisor that you need, or they're an investment advisor that you don't need.
And all those things you mentioned have financial ties and affect our financial health. As you mentioned, insurance and all these other things. It's so important. Everything's connected, Chris.
That's true. Yeah, they really are connected. It's a lot like when you're at a magician's theater and you see the guy on the stage, but there's a trap door underneath him that you're not aware of. And then there's lights that you're not aware of. And even just where you're located with your view of the stage, all these things are interconnected. And it's the same with finance. When you get your stock portfolio and you're talking to your financial advisor, the fact that that advisor has a quota that they have to meet, you're not aware of that quota, just like you're not aware of the trap door. And so you might not be as comfortable with what you're doing with that magician or with that financial advisor if you were aware of all of those unseen truths.
Well, it sounds like you've been to a magic show or two along the way. I know I have. I used to go see the Siegfried and Roy show many years ago. But one of the other tools that magicians use, is the big one, is distraction.
Oh, yeah.
And it may be the lights and things like that, but they want you to look over here when something's going on at the opposite side. Right?
Yeah, one of the things I talk about a lot in the book is the distraction that is pay yourself first. Everyone on the show here today has heard that phrase, and the idea is that we're supposed to take, some amount of money every month and make sure it goes into our savings account. And it really is a problematic way to save, and it actually is the foundation for keeping up with the Joneses and lifestyle creep. It really does cause a lot of problems for families as they're trying to grow their net worth. And you can't quite see it because there's a pretty powerful distraction inside of that pay yourself first. But once you see through the illusion, it becomes obvious that, wow, there's definitely a better way to do this.
Well, you're also a father, and along the way, and I'm a father too, in this room, many of us are, and parents that are listening out there, what are some of the things that you've told, knowing what you know in your profession, what are some of the things that you tell your children to say, hey, financially speaking, here's some of the things that you need to make sure are good practices. Hey, kids, read my book. Okay. I guess you got them copies, right, Chris?
But there's one or two at the house.
I would guess. But what are some of the things for the parents out there? What should we tell our kids?
I think the most important thing to be sharing with the kids is education about finance, just financial education. Start with the basics. What is a checking account? What is a stock? How does a credit card work? What is a credit rating? Just financial education. And when your 16, 17-year-old child ends up graduating high school and goes off to college and already has all of that clear in their mind, they understand what a budget is and what happens when you write a check, when does the money leave the account, the basics of finance, it really sets them up for a better trajectory going forward.
Well, in fact, as many people listen to this show, certainly at the time of broadcast and even on the internet platforms. But here in the real estate world in Houston, Texas, this is an affluent city, and there are real estate agents really doing well financially speaking, making millions of dollars, both in residential and commercial. So this is good for them to know about the book, Outsmart the Money Magicians.
I would say even that the very first chapter of the book, it specifically talks to real estate agents because it talks about how people, they make a certain salary and real estate agents don't. I mean, typically their income is very lumpy. And how do you save appropriately when your income is so lumpy? How do you make sure that you're getting ahead financially as an individual or as a family when you're not exactly sure of when that next sale will go through? And that first chapter addresses that real clearly.
The first chapter is called The Quarter and the Cup Trick. Where did all your savings go? That's a good one.
Yeah, it was a fun book to write.
Well, and a great theme, once again, using your imagination to make it interesting just for us to pick up a copy. Let's tell people, Chris, how they can get a copy of your book, Outsmart the Money Magicians, and, of course, your previous book, The Prepared Investor.
In both cases, they could just go to Amazon. I bet most of your listeners, that's where they buy their books online. But you also could go to your local bookstore. I know that Brazos Bookstore has it because I'm going to be doing a book signing there on Thursday, January 11th. So right after the new year. It'll be a great event, and I'd love for all your listeners to come and get to shake hands with
January 11th. Will that be on your website?
Oh, yes, and it's on the bookstore's website, and it's on social media.
And your website is?
ManskyWealth.com, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Christopher Mansky.
Well, it's also interesting, as I mentioned to you, on your previous book, The Prepared Investor, you have a chapter on artificial intelligence. So from the time you wrote that till now, it's really big.
Yeah, it really has blown up. I've had some interesting speaking opportunities related to my thoughts on artificial intelligence.
Well, Chris, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know that we didn't cover?
Well, I think I'd like to share how much I appreciate people interacting with me as an author. I've gotten some interesting emails and some folks who have shaken my hands at book events, and I really do hope that folks take my invitation seriously to the January 11th local to Houston Brazos Bookstore book event.
You can meet Chris right there in Houston, Texas. Hey, if you're listening outside of Houston, fly in. We have great restaurants. You could couple that up with the experience of meeting Chris Mansky. His book, Outsmart the Money Magicians. Chris, let's tell people how the website and how they can reach you.
Yeah, that's ManskyWealth.com, and I'm on LinkedIn, Christopher Mansky. But I'd also love to hear from you through the book. In the book, you can get my email address and shoot me a note.
Thank you so much, Chris Mansky. As we continue, let's talk to Al Ross. He has several companies. The one you may know the most is called Al Ross Luxury Homes, and they are beautiful homes, to say the least. Mr. Ross, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Good to be back. It's been a while. We miss you.
Well, it's awesome to see you. And even if a month goes by, let alone maybe 9 or 10 months, you've been very busy doing tremendous things. And I want to first say your work, Al Ross Luxury Homes, they can go to the website right now if someone's at their computer, but the homes you build are masterpieces that people, I've said this before, that they're masterpieces. People get to live inside those that have the vision and can afford them. They're just beautiful homes. Let's tell people about Al Ross Luxury Homes.
Well, Bill, again, thanks again. We're sitting here in the month of December 2023. I would like to reflect a little bit back on an amazing year we had. It was a very tough year, beginning of the year. We had a lot of products in the works, and we recently completed and delivered almost 55,000 square feet of homes in 2023. Wow. So we're very proud of the accomplishment of 2023, and actually, because of the time of year, it has calmed down a little bit, and so we're looking forward to spending time with the family and taking it easy and giving our people the needed rest, and so we're just very excited about the new year, and I'd like to share with you some of our projects and goals that we have for 2024.
And no doubt about it, but as you mentioned, the people that work with in your team, I've met a few, and they are stellar. They're still with you. You have people that stay with you a long time. You're doing tremendous things. Yes, so please share.
Yeah, we currently today, one of the things that we're embarking on a new product right here in Houston. And what our goals and objective is that there's so many homes being designed and built in Houston that are very large and has a lot of amenities, and they're on large properties. And we believe that there is a market for homes that are luxurious homes that have a lot of amenities, but they're not 10,000 square feet. They're not 15,000 square feet. We believe that there's a market for what we call the empty nesters in the Houston market, because we've had so many people ask us. They love the houses that we build and we design, and they love it, but they're done with living in a 10 or 12,000 square foot house. And so we're currently have in-house designed a house here in Houston that is designed for a empty nester that does not need to go on the second floor. Everything they need, the master bedroom and kitchen and dining and all the living amenities that a individual would want, is on the first floor of this home. And so we're very excited about it. We're bringing it to the market very soon, and should be finished in the next, at the latest, in the next 90 days. And
you're always thinking, Al, with the vision. And as you're mentioning this, I was on your website this morning and just seeing the beautiful homes on the website that are much larger than what you're describing. I can imagine what it's going to be like when you make it more concise and all the beauty that's going to surround the individuals that get to live in these homes. About how many square feet will they be?
These homes will be in about 6,000 square feet. They'll be on lots that are 15,000, 18,000 square foot lot. But we're trying to give the homeowner all the amenities they would want to enjoy in Houston without having to deal with a very large home. The larger the home gets, it doesn't matter how old is the house, it's going to have a lot of ongoing maintenance that someone will have to deal with, whether it's the homeowner has to deal with it or they have to hire someone to deal with it.
Now, the homes, will they be in River Oaks, or are they going to be
right
around?
Right now we are working on our first one. It's going to be off of close in Memorial, very close to Memorial in 610 area, and then depending on how well we receive the reception is for this house, then we'll determine whether we want to add. We definitely think we're going to go in a more of a higher suburb like Woodlands and those places to try to see if we can acquire the lots to put in these types of homes once we see the results of the one on Memorial.
Well, and it's great you started as you reflect, but also to have these ideas and things. You're a planner. Where do you find your creative time? And as you plan, here we are. I mean, you're probably already planning for 2025, but I mean, just thinking about when you were thinking about 2024, what was going on?
Bill, thanks for the vote of confidence. I wish that was correct, that we're thinking about 2025. But we do have a lot of projects that it will take time. It will put us into 2025. I'm one of those individuals who love, thinking about new ideas, new businesses, new enterprises, new way of doing things all the time. I mean, I am constantly looking for ideas. I get a lot of inspiration from other cities, and I have the ability to see beyond what is in front of me, see the other side of a view of a picture. It's really easy for me to be able to see trends and things like that. So another product that we are also embarking on that we'll have our second meeting this coming Thursday is a rental community down south in the Pearland, city of Pearland, that we're looking at doing a rental community along with more of a semi-retirement community that would be for homeowners that are 52, 55 plus community, so that we can cater to that area as well. Because we also see that our population is aging, and there is, again, they don't necessarily want a $2 million house, or they don't want necessarily a $1 million house, but they want, a community that they can belong to. And that's our focus going to be on that project.
And I know a few years ago you made an investment, or a few, in Southern California. I'm just curious, have you...
About mid-2022, we acquired 2 properties for us to develop in Orange County. And based on the market condition and how busy we are in Houston, we've decided to put those on hold for a little bit. So as soon as the market condition improves in California, we'll probably tackle those projects. But right now we've got them on hold. We believe state of Texas is on fire, and we believe that Texas is going to continue growing. There, as you've seen or heard, there's a shortage of housing in Houston, and so we're going to put a lot of focus and attention right here in the Houston and surrounding, particularly the outlying area of the inner Houston, like Katy. Pearland is one of the areas that I have a lot of experience and knowledge about the market conditions, so we're putting some focus on that.
Well, I'm guessing with your reputation, the people that you're working with and built homes for, and as you said, Houston's exploding, I bet you're getting people calling you from all over New York, California, huh? They find out about Al Ross quick.
They do, not as much as during the pandemic. It was pretty, our phones was ringing like crazy,
right.
And we was fortunate to have a couple of homeowners that moved from New York here. But there are a lot of people still migrating to the Houston area. We can see how the market is really improving on, and there's pockets of it that's I would say it's somewhat slow, but in general, the residential market is in great shape in the Houston area.
Well, I started out saying that you build masterpieces that some people get to live in, and I embellish that because I've been in your homes. I've never owned one. I'm working on a couple more radio shows. I said that.
All right.
A couple more shows. But, I mean, I've been in the homes. They are beautiful. The attention to detail. And, again, you could see it's a result of your imagination and in collaboration with the people you're working with.
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Bill, one of the things that our entire company and people that work for our company, we're wanting to really excel in what we do. And our goal and objective with building a home is just we're really wanting to make sure that we really hit it out of the ballpark. And so we're not afraid of stepping out of the norm. We're not afraid. We're the type of builder that we work with our clients very closely. We're not afraid of rolling our our sleeves up and recommending and showing our clients some of the things that they can have. A lot of builders, they tend to not make a lot of recommendation for a lot of reasons. We come in, and if our client, and we recently had a individual in Houston that I'm sure most of you would know, amazing client that we work with and delivered an amazing product. But we're very thankful for him giving us the opportunity as far as being able to share our thoughts and experiences that we have brought to the table. And so we really enjoy that. We excel in that. We love the idea of collaborating with the client, really working closely with them and building their dream home.
That's awesome. Al, also you were mentioning Al Ross Group.
We basically have three lines of business, which is Al Ross Luxury Homes, and then also the second one is called Ross Homes, which is the lower price homes, and then we also have an entity called Al Ross Group that is a small private equity that we're out there looking for companies that we acquire, companies that are in the $3 to $5 million revenue range and maybe $1 million, $1.5 million in EBITDA. And we take those companies and putting our management team in place and putting them basically on their own feet and growing them internally as well as other acquisition of the same line of business. So, and that's under Al Ross Group.
And your website for Al Ross Luxury Homes is?
alrossluxuryhomes.com.
It's a beautiful site.
Thank you.
I want to tell people, even if you can't afford the home, go look at the website. It's fun.
But believe
something to strive for. We want to set goals.
Bill, believe it or not, we have a lot of people get on our website and they have some, they get a lot of ideas from our website. And by the way, one other note,
Sure.
We've actually published a coffee book recently, and so if our homeowner, anyone is interested, will reach out to us and we'll be happy to share a copy with you.
How are the dogs, by the way, Al?
The dogs are doing amazing. They're awesome.
They like California, too.
Oh, they love California.
Sniffing that cool air, no doubt about it. Al, let's tell people how they can reach you, Al Ross.
The best way to reach me, Bill, is my cell phone number. I'm always on the road. I'm always doing things. So the best way to reach me is call me on my cell phone or text me at 713-306-9154. 713-306-9154.
Al, it's good to see you again. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Enjoyed it.
Let's welcome to the show Ron Hawley. His company is RRH Development Corp. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate this.
Well, you do so many things. We talk about accomplished individuals in real estate. You certainly have gone above and beyond that. I used to call you the king of Kingwood, but I think you're making your way out of Kingwood. But let's tell people what you and your company, some of your companies, do on a regular basis with real estate.
Yeah, over the past, I've developed a number of gated communities in the Houston area, half-acre, 1 acre, and even larger lots. 3 of those communities are guard gated, just absolutely beautiful communities that where we are able to preserve a lot of the trees. I have developments that are on the waterfront. I have a development on a couple of developments on Lake Houston. Those are developed out. I'm working on new developments. I do commercial as well of Kings Harbor, which I started about 22, 23 years ago. And I developed these sites for multifamily, retail, restaurants. I'm not the one that actually builds the buildings. I will sell off a part of it to like like Midway development company or individual. My last property I developed was for a memory care center, and they built a facility. Since I was on the show, I have acquired an additional 80 acres adjacent to this development, which I call it Kings Harbor, and it's on Lake Houston Parkway, and the property's on Lake Houston. So I'm going to have additional sites for restaurants, just a mixed use of facilities that will help the Kingwood and the Atascocita and Humble area. Then I have property up in Willis, Texas. I have 183 acres in Texas National, and I have Guillen Homes has bought 50 lots from me, and they're building homes in Texas National now. I've been working with the utility district up there. We're expanding the plant, so we're going to put additional lots on the ground. So that's one of my developments north of Houston in Willis, Texas. And then down on Galveston Bay, I have purchased a tract that's 350 acres on Galveston Bay, adjacent to Harbor Walk development, which is a gated community that a guy named Meekum, who used to own the New Orleans Saints, actually started this development in the 60s. He never finished the development, but sold it to another gentleman that took over the reins and developed it. It's got 11 miles of canals, has a marina and a ship store, and it's on West Bay, not too far from Tiki Island. So the 350 acres that I have is adjacent to the Harbor Walk. In fact, we share the main entrance off of Highway 6. And this too will be a mixed use. So I've met with the city of Hitchcock and have working with the city on different uses for the property.
Well, Ron, what's interesting when you're on the show, and yes, you're doing so much right here in the Houston area, have done so much, a lot of irons in the fire, to say the least. But also, when you're on, it's great to hear a glimpse of what goes on outside of Texas, because I know you have interest in Wyoming, which is one of my favorite states that I've never been to. So Wyoming, and then also you had a country club in Pennsylvania. You still in the country club business?
Yes, we still have a golf course out in Pennsylvania. It's east of Pittsburgh. It's in Blairsville, Pennsylvania. And the golf course is called Chestnut Ridge, and it's still in operation. And it also has Tom's Run, which is, so it's 2 18-hole golf courses with a clubhouse. We have a hotel adjacent to it it's a Hampton Inn. We do not own the Hampton Inn, but it's great for folks that want to come out and spend a few days golfing.
Well, the great thing too, as you know, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I miss many people that have not been to Pennsylvania. don't know how beautiful it is. There are so many, and I have not seen the golf course, but I can imagine it's in the country club. But there's some great, beautiful land there in Pennsylvania, rolling hills, as you know.
It's a beautiful state. One of the Frank Lloyd Wright's famous homes that he designed is called Falling Water.
Right.
And that's not too far from, it's about an hour's drive from Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh. One of my last trips up there, it's not that far to Niagara Falls. And I spent a little time in Erie and then drove over to Niagara Falls, and there's just so much to do in this great state that you're from.
It really is. And I'm thinking, because I used to drive, I used to fly to Canada on business years ago, but many times I would fly into Buffalo and then take the drive to visit the falls on my way to Canada. But one of the things that's so exciting, also not to mention you have interest in Hawaii as well. And one of the things we can learn from you here on this show, Ron, is that even real estate professionals, when they come on, whether they're selling residential homes, even on a small scale, but real estate touches so many people, and it also brings them into the profession. Let's tell people what drives you, because you could have stopped a long time ago and just ran your businesses and gone forth, but you seem to have an appetite for more development, more and more real estate. Let's tell people what drives you, and why is it real estate that this is the profession that gets you so excited?
Going to the residential side, it's just so fulfilling, being able to see a piece of land and, work with the natural features and making each individual lot, where it's unique, and, that's where most folks spend their biggest dollars, is in their personal home. So that is gratifying, fulfilling people's dreams with these lots that I've developed. My background was in architecture, so that, worked with clients all over the country doing estate homes before going into the real estate development. It's a pleasure to see someone's dreams come to fruition. And then, of course, the commercial side is an extension of the residential, because typically when you buy a larger tract of land, you're going to have a commercial side to it.
Well, we hear so many things about interest rates and what's going to happen in 2024. But it sounds like you still have a massive amount of real estate to be developed, in development. But when you look ahead in real estate, what would you tell people from your perspective? No one knows the future, but what would you tell people from your perspective of how real estate and the market will unfold, especially in the residential, for 2024? What's your speculation?
We're already starting to see interest rates tick down. And of course, with an election coming up, I think the rates will come down even more. And one thing about real estate, it's a definite roller coaster ride with the ups and downs. I mean, back in the early 80s, interest rates were near 20%, 18, 19%. Now we're hovering around 7%. But, real estate, it's like buying a stock. It's a good investment. And you just sit on it and watch it increase. I have some properties that have owned for over 30 years, and the amount that these properties has increased in value over time, especially when development around, is just unbelievable. It's like buying as I said, a good stock.
Well, Ron, you are so accomplished. What are the things that you do if someone was just entering the world of real estate development, or even real estate in general? What advice would you give someone? And then also, how do you set your goals, or how do you go through the process to say, hey, here's what I'm going to do for 2024. Here's where I want to get. Do you want to have a certain amount of land? What is it that you set your goal on? And then what advice would you give people?
If somebody's wanting to go into real estate business, one of the best pieces of advice, of course, is you make your money on the buy. So you cannot pay too much for a piece of property and develop your way out of. You've got to buy it right. And what I've found over the years buying properties, some of my very best deals have been deals that are not on the market. So it's like a guy looking for gold than a miner. I mean, it's going to take a lot of time, but those deals are out there. Then one of the most gratifying things is finding something that's not on the market. You can find, a lot of times families will have properties that have been in the family for decades, And, it's always good to talk to those families before they put it on the market and work with them. Another thing that I found over the years, instead of always going through a bank, if you can get an owner to do owner financing, then you have a non-recourse loan. So I think that is very, very beneficial and can work out extremely well. But one of the keys is when you buy a piece of property for an investment is to hold it. I try and hold something for at least 5 years. I know I've had tracts that have been set on for 30 years. You just have to be careful. Except, for example, in the Houston market, there's no zoning, but there's restrictions. So whenever you're looking at a piece of property, you want to make certain that you check the deed and see what type of restrictions are on the property, if any. And then once you have your tract, if there's any deed restrictions, you deal with that. And then if you need to have a deed restriction change, you can always go to the seller or to the company that has control of it and negotiate with them. So there's lots of options.
We're talking with Ron Hawley. One of his companies is RRH Development Corp. Ron, before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know at this important time of year and as we approach 2024?
I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and remember Jesus is the reason for the season. And I'm so thankful and blessed we're in America and that there's so many, the opportunities abound here. I wanted to just mention something on the Wyoming property. I did divide that property into 35 40-acre lots. So I'm going to have 130 lots that will be available soon. So I'll share that with you once we start marketing that.
Is that in the Cody, Wyoming area?
Yes, that's in Meeteetse, Wyoming, about 25 miles outside of Cody. And Cody is the east entrance of Yellowstone.
Beautiful area.
So in fact, you fly into Yellowstone Airport. I could spend the show just talking about
no doubt
this ranch and the opportunities there. And it has wild horses on the ranch. It has a river, the Graybull River, running through it. Something that you could invest in and hold for a long time and enjoy it with your family and friends.
Well, Ron, let's tell people, should they want to reach you and learn more about your properties here in Houston, the Dallas area, or Wyoming?
Office number is 281-812-2700. 281-812-2700.
Ron Hawley, thank you so much for being with us, and the best holiday season and Christmas for you and yours.
Thank you, Bill. I really greatly appreciate it.
I say it all the time. Stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer. And that's right. They're all over Houston, Texas. We have Jeremy Ragsdale from Kingwood at our Kingwood office. Hey, Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate you.
Well, here you are, Jeremy, and you're fairly new to the company, so we're so glad to have you at Stewart Title. Let's tell people a little bit about your office up there in Kingwood.
Yeah, absolutely. We're located off of Westlake Houston Parkway near Kings Harbor on Lake Houston. We have 3 excellent escrow officers. Between the 3 of them, we're looking at around 50 years of experience. Our branch manager, Anna Moody, is fantastic. She's actually bilingual. We also have Lynn Grimsley, fantastic. And then, of course, we have Patsy Pankey, who's been in our area, 25, 30 years. She's a legend out in the area. So
I was just going to say, you're reading my mind. Here she is legendary right up there. People love her.
Yes. She works with quite a big group of high-dollar clients, so they know that whenever they send her a contract, and of course anybody at our office, they know it's going to close on time and they're going to get that one-on-one experience that they need.
You know, and as we talk to guys like Al Ross, Ron Hawley, Chris Mansky, these are all people and individuals where not only they are exceeding expectations for their clients, but their whole teams are, just like we do up there at Stewart Title in Kingwood.
Correct. I mean, we kind of mold ourselves to just being true partners to our clients. Each real estate agent is completely different on how they want things handled, so we kind of mold ourselves to what their needs are.
Indeed, and each real estate transaction has its own fingerprint. It's all different, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Well, Jeremy, welcome aboard once again, and let's tell people how they can reach you, because I know they want to bring their contracts to you right up there.
Absolutely.
Kingwood,
It's
Texas.
you can give me a call on my cell phone. You can call me at 281-723-4001, 281-723-4001.
Jeremy Ragsdale. Jeremy, thanks for being with us.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is once again with Stewart Insurance, John Bramlett. John, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure, Bill. Always a pleasure.
Here we are, final show of the year.
It's been a great year.
It really, and as Al talked about in review and reflection, here we are once again. It's just been a powerful year. It can hardly wait to see what we do next year.
It's going to be great. I'm just excited that we're going to be back on 9:50 a.m. KPRC and 5 o'clock on Sunday, so it's really fantastic. We're excited.
And, of course, people await every show, John. They want to know about insurance. People in all walks of life. It's insurance time right now. Here he is, John Bramlett. That's what they say all over.
Well, it is, and today we're going to talk to our friends that are property managers. They're seeing, like everybody else in the real estate world, they're seeing an increase in claims. And in the case of property management firms, you know, the defense costs could be in excess of $100,000. And many times we're seeing that the smaller firms are the ones that are actually getting hit by some of these issues. So we felt like that it would be worthwhile to share plans that property managers ought to keep in mind as they're reflecting on 2023, but also getting ready for 2024. I think the first to take a look at would be general liability. So the first question to ask was, do you visit your clients or do your clients visit you? If the answer to either one of those is yes, then you ought to consider general liability coverage. So it helps out if somebody were to get hurt on a piece of property that you are representing or in your office. It would help if you damaged some property. So let's say you're working with a client and you spilt a cup of coffee on their laptop.
Oh, no.
Or somebody was in a house that you were showing that you were managing for a client and they tripped over a cable and hurt themselves. So that would be of interest. The other thing that general liability does is it helps in reputation management. So heaven forbid that you were to say something negative about a potential tenant and they overheard it and they filed a claim, then the general liability coverage would come into play there. The second one that would kind of work potentially hand in hand, personal property insurance. You know, if you have an office, it would be worth adding that on because then that would help with coverage. If anything that you could move could be potentially damaged, whether it be a desk or a chair, file cabinet, a server, it could help there. It could help with any damage or loss to your technology. So, you know, as a property manager, I know you're relying on your laptop and you're relying on your cell phone. So if one of those were to be damaged or lost, you know, that recovery could be significant. So being able to have some support there would be helpful. And many times you can add that business personal property onto your general liability property, the same way that we work with real estate brokers on adding commercial property to their general liability and having a business owner's property. So a similar concept that we've talked about in the past. It's always good to have errors and omissions coverage. You know, the idea, in a sense, it's a malpractice for business. So it provides that liability for professionals. And you are a professional because you are representing your property owners and you're representing the tenants. So being able to have that if a mistake were to be made, and the mistake was one that potentially cost a client money or cost the tenant the opportunity to lease a property, having that coverage can help with legal expenses and it can help with some damages if those were to take place. So it's always good to consider errors and omissions, and sometimes you'll hear it called professional liability. The last two are workers' compensation and cyber liability. So if you've got employees, you need to consider workers' compensation. Now, not all states require it. Texas does not require it. But if you have staff and they get hurt, your general liability plan is not going to cover that. So you need something specifically for your staff, and that's where workers' compensation would come into play. And it can help with loss of productivity because somebody gets hurt. It could help with legal and medical expenses as well as potentially loss of wages. So if you've got a staff, it's always worth having workers' compensation. And finally, the last one is cyber liability that we talk about a lot here. But 85% of the companies that are hit with cyber crime are smaller companies. So, you know, how do you survive something like that? And think about, as a property management firm, not only do you have private personal information from your landlords, the people that own the properties that you represent, but you also have it from your tenants. And then if you're also collecting rent, so now you've got a financial aspect to it, or if your clients have given you some funds for some minor repairs, you've got those kind of funds that the bad actors could get access to. So it would help with things like investigating the breach. If you have to notify clients that you've had a cyber incident, if repair or restore data, potential loss of income and legal fees, that's where the cyber liability would come into play. So as our property management friends are considering 2024 and getting ready for it, it's worth considering having cyber liability coverage in business, personal property, errors and omissions, workers' comp, and cyber liability. We've always talked about that risk is a probability of something bad happening, and then the exposure is what the monetary damages from that risk. And our property management firms, they have a greater risk than our real estate brokers that we work with, generally speaking, because not only are they representing somebody that owns the property, but they're also dealing with the tenants. So they've got both of those to work with, and there's more likely to have access to and dealing with funds than a real estate broker would. So there is greater risk involved. Not all insurance partners that we have an appetite for property management firms. So we know those that have an appetite for property management firms, those that understand how property management works. And then in many cases, our property management partners also are real estate brokers. So the ability to help them, either if it's one company that does both or two companies, then we can help them place them in the property partnership with our insurance carriers that we work with. Well, if you'd like to be properly insured, and all that simply means is that you're comfortable with the coverage you have, whether it's the most robust or the most conservative, that you understand the risk that you're taking on as an individual or a company, and then the risk you're placing on the insurance provider, we would love to be able to work with you. So if you're a property management firm or a real estate broker, independent title and attorney agent, realtor, lender, we can help you with the types of coverage that we've talked about today. Individual and family, we can work with you on your home, wind, auto, flood, motorcycle, or that vacation property that you're going to buy in.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
So
when you buy that property, get ready for Al's house.
Exactly. In fact, as we think about the year in review, this is the year where I consolidated all my insurance to be with Stewart Insurance. It's all locked up in a nice bow. It's super awesome. So if someone's listening, what number should they call, John?
They call 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. To learn more about us, they can visit us at stewartinsurance.com or email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
John, I have a feeling someone in the Mensa organization is listening right now. Is there a Mensa hotline?
There's a Mensa hotline at 866-798-2827. We've just established one to the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's also 866-798-2827.
And a final word, John, I will tell you, thank you, and Tom Carpentier, president of Stewart Insurance, one of our most famous and best listeners to the show. Tom, thank you so much. John, thank you for making this show possible, all of 504 shows. We look forward to next year. Thank you for being with us. StewartInsurance.com. And he is back. Speaking of Mensa, here he is, Chris Mansky, for a final word.
Well, sure, I'd love to share.
I'm still thinking about the trap doors, but anyway.
Yeah, let's avoid those trap doors. I think a real common one is if somebody has to pay a fee before anything happens, they've been tricked.
As far as with a financial
yeah, that's
company
right.
or manager.
If you're being told by a wealth manager that their job is to help you grow your net worth, and the very first thing that happens is a fee.
Red flag and a trap door at the same time.
It's the wrong path. That's right.
Well, give us an idea. Again, some of the real estate professionals and others that are listening are so successful, especially these last couple of years. At what point in terms of our financial, is there a number? At what point should we seek a financial manager or help from someone like you?
You know, in our industry, you hear numbers like that. Like, oh, if you've got 10 million, you got to work with somebody. If you've got 1 million, I only work with someone who has 1 million. But I think that those things are illusions, because really the reason to hire a financial advisor is less about the amount of dollars, and it's more about the goals that you've got as an individual and as a family. So if you're looking to the future and you're thinking about how to go from A to B, give us a call. Mansky Wealth Management, 713-581-1994. Again, manskywealth.com. We'd love to talk to you.
Well, in fact, unless, again, someone inherits a whole bunch of money, I mean, if we're all starting at some point, and we're not going to have $10 million, $100 million, unless we use the $1,000 in the next, unless we have good money practices and policies in place for ourselves and our families.
That's right. It's the habits that end up deciding where you go. And having those good habits sometimes means getting the right coach in place, getting the right advisor in place.
That's one of the chapters, the right coach.
It is one of the chapters.
I was looking right there. So here he is, Chris Mansky, his new book. Both books are awesome. The new book is Outsmart the Money Magicians. And, of course, one of my favorites, The Prepared Investor, Chris Mansky. And I want to read a quote, just a quick one that you wrote when you signed the book, because we think about opportunity in all kinds of markets and real estate and everything else. But you say right here when you signed this book for me, Chris, neither opportunity nor success waste time on the unprepared. So well said.
The website is manskywealth.com, and the number is 713-581-1994.
Thank you, Chris, for being with us.
Thank you, Bill.
Mr. Al Ross, he is back. As we close the show, Al, what do you want people to know? What else do you want them to know?
I want to mention something really, really important, in my opinion, in the process of building a custom home for you, is we have occasionally we have clients that contact us first before they even contact their realtor or even contact their architect, and we highly recommend that a builder to be brought in very early on when you are selecting your property, the lot that you're looking at building. We think it's really, really critical to get the ins and out of what a property, potentially what kind of a challenges and how well they'll be able to create their vision that they have in mind on that piece of property. So we highly recommend bringing a builder on early on, and we do this all often for our clients. We recommend it, and obviously you're welcome to call us. There's no obligation. We'll be happy to come in and consult with you on prior to purchasing that lot. You can call me at 713-306-9154.
And one of the things, as you mentioned that, Al, I'm thinking that no matter the size of the home, but all the decisions that are, I mean, just navigating the vision and what we want and the ideas you have, just all the decisions and countertops and size and colors. There's thousands of decisions made on any kind of home that's built. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but that's the beauty of working with us, with our team, is we make that very, very easy for you. Part of the challenge we see oftentimes is decisions made on a timely manner. And one of the things we do is we come in and give you a list of things that you need to make decisions on. And we're actually hold your hand the entire process of selecting all those pieces. And it looks and feels daunting, but if someone works with us, we'll make that very, very easy, enjoyable ride for them.
Exceeding expectations at
Absolutely.
Al Ross Luxury Homes. And you're a super guy, by the way.
Thank you, Bill.
All the best to you, Chris Mansky, Ron Hawley, for this great holiday season. And all of you listening, thanks for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. We're wishing you the best during this holiday season. And, of course, we're there to serve you with your real estate transaction at all of our Stewart Title locations, not just here in Houston, Texas. We're an international company traded on the stock exchange as STC, but all over the United States and beyond. But thank you for listening. Our very best wishes for you this year. Of course, you can go to stewart.com/radio. That's right. You can see these wonderful guests right here at stewart.com/radio. And, of course, our show archives are right there. And we welcome aboard Jeremy Ragsdale. You heard him. He's up there in Kingwood. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next year. stewart.com/radio.